Honoring Black History, sponsored by Bojangles.
Today, News 2's proudly continues our recognition of the contributions of African Americans to the Lowcountry and to the nation. News 2's Carolyn Murray joins us in studio with a story of an often overlooked regiment of Union soldiers. Carolyn?
They were the soldiers of the little-known 55th Massachusetts Volunteer Regiment. And though their name may be new to some of you, they bravely came to hostile territory and helped shape part of the Lowcountry and American history.
Records, a little more than 40.
Robert Bourne is passionate about history. He took us to an area of Folly Beach where he was digging 35 years ago when he said his life changed. Tell me about the construction that was happening in 1987.
Yes, they were putting in a subdivision down the street and had bulldozers, and I had been hunting there for 10 years, about 10 years there. We started to excavate uniform buttons that were very corroded. And then we found a femur.
A human femur. Interest piqued, Bourne went back to the site the next day.
Went back the next morning to see if there were other bones scattered by the bulldozer. There were a few, some toe bones and a patella, a rib bone or two. We didn't know if it was a soldier. We didn't know if it was a crime victim. We didn't know if it was a Native American. We didn't know who it was.
He said he dug another hole so he could have a place to lay the bones he had just found.
And in doing so, in digging a random hole at this site, I found another soldier.
What did you see in the ground?
And there were 4 vertebrae, human vertebrae, with a piece of cloth and a uniform button on top of it.
Bourne knew he was uncovering history, so he called a state archaeologist.
I got the deputy state archaeologist on the phone, and he said, I told him about the bones, and he goes, well, you sure it's not a cow? And I said, well, I've never seen a cow wearing a Yankee uniform.
He tracked down records of 2 regiments of black soldiers coming to South Carolina during the Civil War. One was the 54th Massachusetts. They came to South Carolina and fought at Battery Wagner, the bloody battle portrayed in the 1989 movie Glory.
When they raised the 54th, they had more recruits than they knew what to do with. So they made 2 regiments. And then in July of that year, the 55th came to Charleston. And they were basically used as hard labor. Building the roads here on Folly Beach. Most of the roads here were built by them.
The remains of the 19 soldiers who served in the 55th Massachusetts were so remarkably well preserved, they were able to make these busts of how they may have looked. These details provided a glimpse into the lives of black soldiers.
They didn't die easy. They died of disease, mostly dysentery, typhoid. They just withered away to nothing.
Bourne said these men carved out what we now know as Folly Beach.
They were, to me, the bravest soldiers that ever, wore a uniform. Because as a free black or a runaway African American, to come to South Carolina in a uniform and a musket, that took guts. They would have been bulldozed, lost to history. Certainly no African American soldiers had ever been found in the field.
Bourne raised the money to have this historical marker to the 55th Regiment erected a few blocks away from the site. He took us to the marker at Folly River Park.
General Edward A. Wild's African Brigade camped nearby from November '63 to February 1864.
In February 2021, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster awarded Robert Bourne with the Silver Crescent for bringing attention to the story of the 55th Massachusetts Regiment.
I'm just the mouthpiece for these soldiers. It's their honor, not mine.
The bones of the members of the 55th Regiment were buried in the Beaufort National Cemetery with full military honors.